Recording in.
Welcome to our wonderful, soulful morning. Let's start our inward journey by closing our eyes, straightening our backs, and bowing in deep gratitude to our teachers, gurus, parents, ancestors, angels, guardians, and to everybody around us. Let's be grateful for all the divine synchronicities that are unfolding in front of us, whether we're aware or not. Let's be grateful to our wonderful bodies for supporting us by being healthy. And in case they're not healthy, let's bless our wonderful bodies to gain the finest of health. Let's be thankful to everything in general. At this moment, let's think of 10 things that we can be grateful for. And in about 100 seconds, a minute and a half, let's just express our gratitude individually. And now, let's fold our hands and feel deepest form of gratitude. Coming from our heart, and feel the heart expanding. That it becomes a stage of acceptance for everything. Oftentimes, acceptance is the only reason for good or bad. When we're not able to accept anything, it expands. When we're able to accept something, again it expands. But which way are we progressing? Expansion for the good or expansion for the bad? When we accept something the way it is, with all our heart, then the problems seems to fade away. But when we are in a state of resistance of some problem, wanting it to diminish, but resisting and not accepting, the problem becomes much more. At this stage, it's important to go inward and check, why am I resisting? Why am I not accepting? What is a lesson for me to learn? Do I want this to be always coming to me in much more multiplied fashions? Do I want this problem to manifest much more? Or do I want to lead a life with absolute surrender, which does not mean that I have to live a life of a monk or a sage, but surrendering by trusting the process of life, by knowing, by knowing, by knowing that the universe has my back, that life flows for me, not against me. When so much is going on for me, why is it that the limited human mind is in a stage of resistance? And by now, every morning we read about past life regression, about lives coming back, nothing being lost. So, what am I so scared about? Just the way a day ends into a night and the body takes sleep, it rests. But the day starts again with the same people around us. At times, there's a change of scene. Different people are there. Similarly, can I learn to trust the life, the process of life? Can I learn to let go of my insecurities? And now, whatever insecurities you have, just drop them in Mother Earth, whatever they are. You can open your hands and you can turn your hands towards Mother Earth as if you're dropping something and feel the problem in your emotional etheric body leave your body. We don't just have a physical body, we have so many more bodies. Discard that heavy weighing down energy. This heavy weighing down energy could be any baggage that you're carrying, any baggage. And that baggage is to do with your expectation. Because you're expecting something in life regarding something, and you're not able to accept the present situation, which is not as per your expectation. So the problems are increasing. Can you release them right now from? Just feel that utmost cleansing happening. And now that you have dropped it, you can put your palms on your laps facing heavenwards and feel the beautiful bluish white light enter the center of your palms and feel that light emerging and entering in your entire body and blessing you with so much more. And each time when you again resist, remind yourself that you have this new energy that will help you accept your life the way it is, knowing that only better will come out of it. And with this, fold your hands, rub your hands together, bless your eyes, your full body, and open your eyes to the beautiful book called Only Love is Real, because that is the only essence that there is love. Chapter number 16. Cicero says, it is again a strong proof of men knowing most things before birth, that when mere children they grasp innumerable facts with such speed as to show that they are not then taking them for the first time, but remembering and recalling them. I was momentarily confused. Pedro had walked through a door in his mind to another time and another place. By the movement of his eyes, I could tell that he was observing something. You will be able to talk, I told him, and yet you will be able to remain in a deep trance state and continue to observe and experience. What do you see? I see myself. I am lying in a field at night. The air is cool and clear. I see many stars. Are you alone? Yes, there is no one else around me. What do you look like? I asked, looking for details in order to learn more about the time and place in which he had emerged. I am myself, about 12 years old. My hair is short. You are yourself? I questioned, still not realizing that Pedro had merely gone back into his own childhood and not a past life. Yes, back in Mexico as a boy, he simply answered. Now I understood and shifted gears, looking more for feelings. I wanted to find out why his mind had selected this particular memory from the past, from the vast panorama available to it. What do you feel? I feel very happy. There's something so peaceful about the night sky. The stars have always seemed so familiar and friendly to me. I like to pick out the constellations and watch them march across the sky as the seasons change. Do you study the stars in school? Not really, just a little bit. But I read about them on my own. Mostly I like to watch them. Does anyone else in your family enjoy watching the stars? No, he answered, only me. I subtly shifted now to appeal to his higher self or intelligence, to his expanded perspective, to learn more about the importance of this memory. I was no longer speaking to the 12-year-old Pedro. What is the importance of this memory of the night sky? Why did your mind select this particular one? He was silent for a while, his face softened in the thin afternoon light. The stars are a gift to me. They're a comfort. They are a symphony I've heard before, refreshing my soul, reminding me of what I had forgotten. They're even more, he continued a bit enigmatically. They're a path guiding me to my destiny slowly but surely. I must be patient and not get in the way. The schedule is already set. He was silent again. I let him rest as a thought crept into my mind. The night sky has been here far longer than this mankind. At some level, haven't we all heard that ancient symphony? Are all of our destinies guided as well? And then another thought, very clear in its words, but not at all in its meanings. I too must be patient and not get in the way of Pedro's destiny. This thought came to me like an instruction. It turned out to be prophecy. As patients like Elizabeth and Pedro challenged many of my old beliefs about life and death, and even psychotherapy, I also had begun to meditate, or at least to muse every day in deeply relaxed states. Thoughts, images, and ideas often popped suddenly into my awareness. One day, a thought came into the urgency with the urgency of a message. I needed to take a close look at those patients of mine who had been in therapy for a long period of time, my chronic patients. Somehow I would now see them more clearly, and this clarity of vision would also teach me more about myself. Those patients who were coming to me now for regression therapy, visualization techniques, and spiritual counseling were doing extremely well. But what about other population of patients, many of whom were in therapy with me before my books were published? Why would I see them more clearly now? What was I to learn about myself? So, dear friends, dear co learners, let's understand we're not just reading stories about past lives. Every book, every page has a lesson, has a learning for us. When Pedro is talking about the night sky, Dr. Wise is thinking, okay, I'm going to see things more clearly. Why? He asks himself a question. All of us here in the morning are here to challenge our beliefs, to question our being, to question our thoughts, to question why we think the way we do and why we have problems the way we have. Because let me tell you, nobody in the world can help anybody. People can come as channels to spread some message the way Dr. Wise is coming to us every morning. But it's we who can help ourselves. Yes, somebody can show you clarity. Say if I have a problem and I call up one of you, with your perspective, I can have a clarity. But who has to make the final step? Me. Do we believe in me? Do we trust the process of life? Do we know that this is coming to us not to challenge us, but for us to see that life is unfolding around us for a reason? Dr. Wise asked himself, why would I see them more clearly now? What was I to learn about myself? As it turned out, quite a lot. I had stopped being a teacher to many of these long term patients. Instead, I had become a habit and a crutch. Many had become dependent on me, and instead of challenging them to be independent, I accepted the old role. I had become dependent on them too. They paid the bills, flattered me, made me feel indispensable to them, and reinforced the stereotype of the physician as demigod in our society. I had to face my ego. One by one, I faced my fears. Security was the first. Money is neither good nor bad, and although important at times, it confers no real security. I needed more faith. I would be all right. I needed more faith. In order to take risk, to commit myself to right action, I had to know that I would be all right, which means that I would trust the process of life, that I'm not dependent on the number of patients I have. In our life, we think We are dependent on people and people are dependent on us. This is where I, me, am, the big ego comes in. But the fact of the matter is, the world goes on around without anybody also. Nobody is as important as they give themselves importance for. What is more important is to have an inward journey, conscious living. And for those of you who've been in the sessions and are wondering why these sessions are not as helpful, maybe in case you're wondering, it's because this is the time to introspect, going inwards. And this doesn't stop with just the morning session, which is the reason we're having these meditations at the end of the sessions, which hopefully are going on for long. And for this, I need some answers. You can use the chat box also while letting me know that are you able to go inner? If not, we have to work on that. I would want an honest feedback, whether on this chat or the WhatsApp chat, as to what's your journey going on about. It's not just about reading a book, it's about reading who you are, the book that you are writing about yourself, about your life. We have to take risks. We have to go out of a comfort zone. We have to understand that every day downloads are coming. Are we open and receptive to them? Are we able to get the downloads by temporarily shutting off our life and our analytical mind? It's very imperative that all of us by now start going inwards. And even if nothing comes, at least trust the process, because it will come. We could have put a little veil, a barrier around our accepting mind. Hence, this morning we had the meditation for acceptance. Love is everywhere. Do we believe it or do we just say it? And even if we just say it, it's good. At least we're saying it. Eventually, this will become a reality for us as well, because that's the eternal truth. But the biggest challenge is, do we love and approve of ourselves and our lives? And that is a trillion-dollar question. It helps us to analyze who we are, what faith we belong to, what belief we belong to, what life principles we have created around for us, what are our values, what are our core nature, why are we the way we are, what ticks us, what breaks us, what makes us, what shakes us. Why are we insecure? Why are we fearful? And why are our problems expanding instead of deleting? Or be grateful for all the problems that are deleting. We could be in any situation, any boat. All of a sudden, life could feel magical, and you're like, wow, problems are just going by. And I once again repeat the value of positive thinking, which is very hyped, but gratitude is a no-brainer. Gratitude is the biggest multiplier. If we learn to believe and live in gratitude, believe me, everything which seems tough will become super easy. It might be challenging, but for a reason. Back to our journey with Dr. Wise. He said to himself that I needed more faith. In order to take risk to commit myself to the right action, I had to know that I would be all right. I examined my values, what is important to me, to my life, and what was not. As I remembered and realigned my faith and values, my concern about money and security disappeared. Like a fog lifting in the sunlight, I felt very safe. I looked at my indispensability and my need to feel important. This is another illusion of the ego. We are all spiritual beings. I remembered all of us are both equal, and beneath exterior, all of us are important. My need to be special, to be loved, could only truly be met at a spiritual level from deep within myself, from the divinity within. Now, this is something that you must underline and understand. We are looking for validation from the world. In case you cook food, you're looking to be validated by your family, your loved ones. That is the food good enough? If people comment, you feel good. If people don't know, I made so much love. No, not a single person said. Or when you put something on social media, we are waiting for likes and comments. This is external validation, but we are spiritual beings and we have to validate internally. And how does it happen? When we realize that all of us are spiritual beings and we have a soul that decided to take birth, to give us birth. And then we are all made in the image of God, that there is a divine within us. So if you don't love yourself for who you are, at least love yourself for the divine being that you are, because you have the divine being and you cannot disrespect the divine being, which comes without any sex. It is a supreme being. So very important to go inward. Very important to realize of our divinity. When Dr. Wise has this new awakening, he felt that his family could help, but only up to a point. Certainly not my patients. I could teach them and they could teach me. We could help each other for a while, but we could never satisfy each other's deepest needs. That quest is a spiritual one. Physicians are always highly trained teachers and healers, but hardly demigods. We're just highly trained people. Physicians are spokes on the same wheel as all the other helpers in our society. People often hide themselves behind their professional labels and facades, doctors, lawyers, senators, and so on, most of which were not even built before our 20s or 30s. We have to remember who we were before our titles were conferred. It is not only that we are all capable of becoming loving and spiritual people, people who are charitable, kind, and peaceful, filled with serenity and joy, we already are. We have just forgotten, and our egos seem to prevent us from remembering. Our vision is clouded, our values upside down. This is very important to again reiterate. हम सबकी विजन क्लाउडेड है, धुंधली हो चुकी है, हमने वेल्स लगाई हुई हैं. Our value system is upside down. We choose to believe what we do and we follow that life going with that principle, not realizing that that could be further from the truth. It's time to reevaluate who we are. Many psychiatrists have talked to me about feeling trapped by their patients. They have lost the joy of helping. I remind them that they are spiritual beings too. They are trapped by the insecurities, by the egos. They too need the courage to take risks and to leap into health and joy. Every one of us, we are trapped. I, me, and am. Our ego doesn't let us go beyond the ordinary into exploring to become the extraordinary. All we need to do is have himmat, have courage to take that leap of faith. Once we do that, life is going to be absolutely magical. Chapter number 17, Robert James Waller wrote, "For we have come by different ways to this place. I have no feeling that we met before, no deja vu. I don't think it was you in Lavender by the Sea as I wrote in AD 1206 or beside me in the border wars, or there in the Galatines 100 years ago, lying with me in the silver green grass above some mountain town. I can tell by the natural ease with which you wear fine clothes and by the way your mouth moves when you speak to waiters in good restaurants, you have come the way of castles and cathedrals of elegance and empire." All of us who are right now on call, we have met before. It's not the first time that we're meeting as the name of the people that we are right now. All of us are there's a reason for us to be here. We are co-learners, not just for the sake of it. There's so many lessons to be learned. Together we are moving on. Together we are learning, relearning something that we've forgotten. But to relearn this, just 1 hour in the morning will not suffice. Throughout the day, we keep reminding ourselves that I am on this path and this purpose for a reason. I'm not saying all the time, but as much as consciously as we can. Even if you're sitting at work or at home front or wherever, whatever you do, a conscious reminder to ourselves to be aware of the quality of life that we're living. And if nothing else, at least work on your breath work consciously. Grateful breath in, grateful breath out. Even if we do that, we are going to modify our life learnings and lessons in a very big way. Grateful breathing really helps. It's therapeutic. It helps us to align within. Dr. Weiss says, by the time I finished counting backward from 10 to 1, Elizabeth was already in a deep hypnotic trance. Her eyes were fluttering under their lids. Her body was limp and her breathing had slowed into a very relaxed rhythm. Her mind was now ready for the travel. I took her back slowly, this time using a peaceful mountain stream as a gateway to the distant past. She walked across the room into a beautiful light, walked through the light. She emerged in another time and another place in another lifetime. I'm wearing these thin sandals. There's a binding just above the ankle, she observed. I have a long white dress of different lengths. Over it is a veil like covering down to my ankles. The sleeves are very wide and end at my elbows. I'm wearing golden bracelets at three different levels of my arms. She was observing herself vividly with great detail. My hair is dark brown and long below my shoulders. My eyes are brown too. My skin is light brown. You're a girl, I assumed. Yes, she patiently answered. How old are you? About 14. What do you do? Where do you live? I fired at her, asking two questions before she had a chance to answer. On the temple grounds, I'm training to be a healer and to help the priests. Do you know the name of this land? It's Egypt a long time ago. Do you know the year? No, I don't see that, but it's very long ago, very old. I returned to her memories and experiences of that ancient time. How did you happen to receive this training to be a healer and to work with the priests? I was selected by the priests just as others were. We are all chosen according to the talents and abilities. The priests know this from the time we are very young. I wanted to know more about selection process. How do the priests know about your talents? Do they observe you in school or with your parents? Oh no, they know intuitively. They're very wise. You know who has the ability in numbers should be an engineer or a counter or a treasurer. They know who can write and scribe. They know who have military potential and should be trained to lead armies. They know who will make the best administrator. They will be trained to be governors and officials. They know those who possess healing and intuitive abilities, and these are trained to be healers and advisors and even to be priests. So the priests decide what occupation people train for. Yes, she concurred. Talents and potentials are are divined by the priest when the child is very young. His training is then set. He has no choice. Is this training open to everyone? Oh no, only to those of the nobility, to those related to the pharaoh. You must be related to the pharaoh. Yes, but his family is very large. Even distant cousins are considered part of the family. What of very talented people who are not related? I asked, my curiosity causing me to linger at his family selection system. They can get some training, but they can only progress so far to be assistants to the leaders or relatives of my royal family. Are you a relative of the pharaoh, a cousin not too close? Close enough, I uttered. Yes, she answered. I decided to move on, even though I already knew that the patient after Elizabeth had cancelled the appointment that day, so time was not hurrying me along as much as usual. So, do you have any family with you? Do you have any family with you? Yes, my brother. We are very close. He's 2 years older. He has also been chosen to train as a healer and a priest, and we are together here. Our parents live some distance away, so it's very good to have my brother with me. I can see him now. I risked another distraction, looking for cues or clues to understanding Elizabeth's relationship. Look closely at your face. At his face. Look at his eyes. Do you recognize him as anybody in your current life? No, I don't recognize him. I somewhat expected her to recognize a beloved mother or perhaps her brother or father, but there was no identification. Go ahead in time now to the next important event and that Egyptian girl's life. You can remember everything. She went forward in time. I am 18 now. My brother and I are much more advanced now. He's wearing a white and gold skirt that is short. It just ends above his knees. He's very handsome. How are you more advanced? We have many more skills. We are working with special healing rods that, when mastered, greatly speed up the regeneration of tissues and limbs. She paused for a few moments, studying these rods. They contain a liquid energy that flows through the rods. The energy is concentrated at the end, at the point of regeneration. You can use this to grow limbs and heal tissues, even dying or dead tissue. I was surprised. Even modern medicine cannot accomplish these feats, although nature can, as if with salamanders and other lizards, which can regrow detached limbs or tails. The latest research in traumatic spinal cord injuries is just now leading into the beginning of controlled nerve regeneration, about 4 to 5,000 years after Elizabeth's work with healing rods that could induce limb and tissue regeneration. She could not articulate how the rods worked other than with energy. Elizabeth did not have the vocabulary or mental concepts to understand and explain. She began to speak again, and the reason for her lack of understanding became clear. At least that's what they tell me. I am young and a girl. I have held the rods, but I have never seen them work. I have not yet seen the regeneration. My brother has seen this. He's allowed, and he's old, and he will be allowed this knowledge of regeneration. My training will be extended before that level. I cannot progress to that level, for I am a female, she explained. He will be allowed the knowledge of regeneration, you will not? I questioned. That is true. He will be allowed to know higher secrets, but I will not. I'm not jealous of him. It is a custom, a foolish custom, because I have more ability to heal than any other men, or than many men. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He will tell you the secrets anyway. He has promised me. He will teach me how the rods work, too. He has already explained many things to me. He has told me that they're trying to revive people who have already recently died. Who have died? Yes, but this must be done very quickly. How do they do this? I don't know. They use several of the rods. There are special charms. The body must be positioned in a certain way. There is more. I do not know. When my brother learns, he will tell me. My logical mind arrived at the assumption that the people allegedly being revived were not really dead yet, but probably near death, like patients recovering from near death experiences. After all, they did not have equipment recovering from near equipment to monitor brainwave function in those days. They could not pinpoint the absence of brain activity, which is our modern definition of death. My intuitive sense told me to keep an open mind. Other explanations could exist, explanations beyond my current comprehension. Elizabeth was still silent, so I resumed the questioning. Are there other forms of healing that you do? There are many. One is with the hands. We touch the area of the body that needs a healing and send energy directly there through our hands. Some don't even need to touch the body. We feel above the person's body or areas of heat. We disperse the heat and smooth the energy. The heat must be dispersed at several levels above the body and not just the clothes and not just the sorry. And not just the clothes, she explained. She was speaking rapidly now, describing ancient variations of healing techniques. Others can heal mentally. They can see the problem areas in their minds, but they mentally send energy to these spots. I can't do this yet, she added, but I will learn eventually. Some people touch the person's pulse with the second and third fingers held together and send energy directly to the flow of blood. You can reach the internal organs this way. You can see the cleansing energy leaving through the person's toes. Elizabeth continued her rapid and increasing technical explanation. I am working now with putting people into very deep levels of trance and having them also see the healing as it occurs so that they complete the healing transformation on the mental level. We give them potions to help them go very deep. Except for the potions, this last technique very much resembles the hypnotic visualization that I and the others are using in the 20th century to stimulate the healing process. Are there more methods? The ones that evoke the gods are reserved for the priests. Forbidden to us. Forbidden. Yes, because women cannot become priests, we cannot become healers, and we assist the priests, but we cannot do their functions. Oh, some women call themselves priestesses and play musical instruments in the ceremonies, but they have no power. With some sarcasm in her voice, she said, they are musicians like I am a healer, they're hardly priests. Even Hathor mocks them. Hathor is another god, Egyptian god. Hathor was an Egyptian goddess of love, mirth, and joy. She was also the goddess of festivity and dance. Elizabeth was probably remembering one of Hathor's more esoteric functions, that of defender and protectress of women. Hathor's mockery of these priestesses underlined the empty grandiosity of their titles. So, everywhere in Egypt, you will find beautiful statues of Hathor everywhere possible. You would have seen them a gazillion times, even if you haven't been to Greece. Egypt is very much like India. They believe a lot in gods and goddesses, and Hathor is one of the most popular gods, actually goddesses. And just the way we have Ganpati here, they have Hathor there because love is all there is. This book is all about love, right? And Hathor is also the goddess for love. Elizabeth grew silent again, and she did. My mind drew parallels to the current time. Glass ceilings seemed to be as old as time itself. The road to advancements in this period of primitive Egypt seemed to be restricted only to a few. Relatives of the pharaoh, who himself was considered half divine, could advance, but female relatives would soon bump into the gender barrier. Male relatives of the pharaoh were the privileged few. Elizabeth was still silent and I urged her forward. Go ahead in time to the next important event in that life. What do you see? My brother and I are advisors now, she commented, after progressing a few more years into the future. We stand behind the governor of this area and we advise him. He's a great administrator and a good military leader. But he's impulsive and needs our intuition and our inner guidance. We help to balance him. Are you happy doing this? Yes, it is good to be with my brother, and the governor is usually kind. He often listens to our advice. We do our healing work also. She seemed contented, if not ecstatic. She had not married, so her brother was her family. I moved her ahead in time. She was visibly upset now. She began to cry, then stopped. I know too much of this. I must be strong. It is not that I fear exile or death, not at all. But to leave my brother, that is hard. Another tear fell. What happened? I asked, somewhat startled, sudden decline in her fortunes. The governor's son became severely ill. He died before anything could be done. He knows about her work with regeneration and her attempts to bring the recently dead back to life. So he demanded that I bring his son back from the dead. If I did not, I would be sent to permanent exile. I know that place. Nobody returns. And the son? I asked hesitantly. He could not be returned. I was not allowed. So I had to be punished. She was again sad, and the tears welled up once more in her eyes. It makes no sense, she said slowly. I was never allowed to learn about the rods. I was never allowed to acquire the knowledge of regeneration and revival. My brother taught me a little, but not enough. They didn't know he told me anything. What happened to your brother? He was away, so he was spared. All the priests were away. Only I was around. He returned in time to see me before the exile began. I don't fear exile or death, only leaving him. There is no choice. How long are you in exile? I asked. Not very long. I know how to leave my body. One day I left my body and did not return. That was my death, for without the soul, the body dies. She had jumped to that point and was speaking from a higher perspective. As simple as that. There is no pain, no interruption in awareness when such a death is chosen. That is why I do not fear death. I knew I could never see my brother again. I could not do my work on that barren island. There was no reasons to stay in physical form. The gods understand. She was silent, resting. I knew that her love for her brother would survive physical death, as would her brother's love for her. Love is eternal. Had they met again over the intervening centuries, would they meet again in the future? I also knew that this memory would help her ease her grief. Once more, she had found herself in the distant past. Her consciousness, her soul had survived physical death and centuries of time to emerge once again, this time as Elizabeth. If she could survive through time, so could her mother, so could all of us. She had not found her mother in ancient Egypt, but she had found a beloved brother, a companion soul whom she could not recognize in her current life, at least not yet. I like to think of soul relationship as similar to a large tree with 1,000 leaves in it. Those leaves that are you, that are on your twig, are intimately close to you. You may even share experiences, soul experiences among yourself. There may be 3 or 4 or 5 leaves on your twig. You're also highly and closely related to leaves in the branch next to yours. They share a common limb. They are close to you, but not as close as the leaves on your own twig. Similarly, as you extend farther out along the tree, you're still related to those other leaves or souls, but not as closely as those in your immediate proximity. You're all part of one tree and one trunk. You can share experiences. You know each other, but those on your twig are the closest. There are many other trees in the beautiful forest. Each tree is connected to the others through root system in the ground. So even though there may be a leaf on a distant tree that seems quite different from you and very far away, you're still connected to that leaf. You're connected and even more intimately connected to those on your branch and almost as one with those on your own twig. You probably have met the other souls farther out in your tree in previous lifetimes. They may have been in many different relationships with you. The interactions may have been extremely brief. Even a 30-minute encounter could have helped you learn a lesson or help them or both of you, as is usually the case. One of these souls may have been the beggar in the road to whom you gave a heart's gift, allowing you to extend your compassion to another human being and allowing the recipient to learn about receiving love and help. You and the beggar may have never met again in that lifetime, and yet you're part of the drama. Your meetings vary in duration 5 minutes, 1 hour, a day, a month, a decade, or more. This is how souls relate. Relationships are not measured in time but in lessons learned. And at this juncture, I will want to close them and take you to a meditation. So, once again, I request everybody to close your eyes. And whether you wish to lie down or whether you wish to sit, the only intention is to have your back straight. Take a deep breath in. Go with your breath work. Inhaling and exhaling. Being connected. And as you do your beautiful breath work, can you intentionally be grateful for every breath that you take in and every breath that you exhale? Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. All of our souls are interconnected. All of us who've chosen this life to live on Mother Earth are interconnected, whether we know it or whether we don't. Whatever story we're writing for our lives and the experiences that we've lived in previous life or this life are lessons for us to be learning and evolving as human beings, as spiritual beings. They say awakening happens in minutes, in seconds, in hours. But when does that realization happen? All the past life lessons that are happening are directing our present life into a particular path of walking. The message is soul grained. Are we going with that message? Are we living a very outwardly life? Now, see all that is around you that is helping you evolve spiritually. See what's working for you and see what's not working for you. You could be a parent, but your children may have grown up or gone to their own nests. They could be married, they could be studying, but they're not with you. And that is a lesson for you to know that you are free of responsibilities on daily level. A parent is never free completely, but it's free right now of the physical responsibilities, of daily responsibilities. Emotionally, yes, you may be busy. And these are blessings that you count that are helping you evolve. And even if you're living with children and I have current day responsibilities, how is it that you are right now free to learn, to go, to evolve? Now means in live sessions or maybe offline sessions. Be grateful for life to be conducive for your growth. The very reason that you have stumbled upon this session in the internet world, or you have enrolled and registered for these morning sessions, is an inkling that you are meant to be going deeper into your soulful world. Now I want you to think of the challenges. Are they really challenges? Or has your ego made them into who they are? Can you break down the challenge? Is it as humongous as a huge mountain that is insurmountable? Or can you step by step walk on it and come to some path, some journey? And when you break it into step by step, what is the lesson that you're learning at every step? If I do this much can happen. Is there hope? And while there is hope, how about the vitamin P? How about the power of prayers? Do you believe in it still? Or has your faith lost that power? Can we joyfully, heartfully pray right now? And praying for others is immediately replied. Why? Because it's for expansive consciousness of yours that is helping you pray for the outer world, not related to you. But do you know the domino effect it will happen, snowball effect it will happen? When you pray for others, you tap into the bandwidth of other people who are praying for humanity in general. And you, my dear friend, will be a recipient. So the more you give, the more you get. But herein, if you give a little, you get so much more out of it. So why not once again fold your hands and pray for whatever you want in your life right now, but for others. Pray for the health, because एक सुखी काया होगी तभी सब कुछ होगा. If your body is not healthy, you will not be able to grow. in your mind. So, healthy body, a healthy mind, healthy environment. Wish the world at large this, not somebody that you know, because that will again become very intentional and personal. But your intention right now is for mankind healing. Pray. The power of prayer is huge. Pray for a miraculous healing of somebody and believe that this instant the doctor is telling the patient's family that he or she has healed and that they believe in the power of prayer. The family has prayed, but your praying has brought in that change. And that has added so much of positive balance to your wonderful spiritual bank. Whenever you have time, just send out a prayer of healing, and then see the magics. And now, at the count of 10, you will go into a state of tapping into the subconscious wealth that you have been given, into something that will unfold for you to teach you a lesson. Now, this memory could be in this life or past lives. Whatever it is, do not get attached to it. Just see it as if a movie is rolling in front of your eyes. You are playing an important part, but see it as if a movie is playing. And then later, try and see the lesson that you have learned or why that particular memory was tapped by your subconscious mind. That's the power of prayer. That's the power of healing. And I wish you all a deep healing. And for this, once again, just align your backs if possible. And now, when I keep counting, you keep taking a deep breath in and out. It doesn't have to go with my count, it just has to go parallelly. The breathing will be as per your comfort level. Deeper or shallow, you decide it. But the deeper you go, the easier you will be able to tap into a magical memory. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're now tapping into some memory of yours that will teach you a lesson. Enjoy this memory, see it, and each time, in case your mind wanders, go back to your breathing if you're not able to see something. But most of you are tapping into a memory already. See it, feel it, and understand the lesson why that memory has been tapped. Enjoy the healing. Be blessed.